Last video, we exposed the most common forehand mistake in tennis. And in the comments, so many of you asked, how do I actually fix this? Well, today, I'll walk you through the exact drills my students use to make the switch from arm swing to body swing fast. Here's what happens when the body doesn't lead the forehand swing. I want you to keep an eye on this player's racket and also notice these wrinkles on her shirt. And look at how the racket in her hand and her arm start moving around towards the point of contact before those wrinkles do anything. So her arm is initiating this swing, and it's the primary power source for this swing, which is why as the swing continues and she goes forwards to make contact, her racket, her hand, her arm just blow right past her body in an effort to go hit the ball, and that's what leads to her shoulders still being sideways, her hips still being sideways at contact, and that's what leads to this really jammed, short, far back contact position that everybody focuses on as a symptom, but it's not the actual core problem. What makes this so hard to fix and what keeps players in this rut for years and even decades is the fact that to this player, this feels like a smooth athletic forehand. I'm about to play the very same swing that we just broke down in slow motion. Watch it in full motion. Even as a bystander, this doesn't look super jammed and tight, right? Like it actually has some smoothness to it. It's not until we break it down and really slow it down that we realize how far off the movements of the body actually are. Here's the reality for this player though. On the left is her original forehand, and on the right is after just 30 minutes of practice, focusing on leading with her body. Here's drill number one that you need to follow at home to make this transformation. I'm demonstrating right now, sorry, I'm kind of in the way of the student, but I just want you to see how I'm demonstrating for my student this principle, this idea that we want the torso to go first and have the arm and the hand trail behind and be passive and just kind of be a passenger for the body. And ultimately, at the point of contact, what we want, right when the ball touches the strings, is we want the shoulders to be facing parallel to the net, and we also would like the hips facing parallel to the net right as the ball touches the strings. And that's exactly the position that she ultimately got to just a couple of minutes later. So this first stage, I know it feels a little too tedious and a little too slow, but I want you to remember something really important. Speed hides mistakes. When you go out there, you get super excited, you watch one of these fancy YouTube videos, and you're like, oh man, I can do it, I'm gonna be able to swing, just like Carlos or just like Iga or whoever your favorite player is, and you go out there and you just start hammering and like pounding balls. You're just going back to your old habits. And you might make like a 5% improvement in the right direction, but what this player and most players watching, probably you two need, is a complete overhaul in the order of how the body works and the order in which it moves. And at first, just at first, moving really slowly and deliberately is going to help you make those improvements. So student now is leading the racket forwards with her torso, and her arm and her body and her racket are trailing behind. And notice she's actually starting to exaggerate a little bit now, which is fantastic. This is where the point of contact would be in real life. And look at how her shoulders now are actually a little bit past parallel to the net, and her hips are right at parallel. I love seeing this kind of exaggeration because it helps the player really feel the contrast between what they're used to, which feels normal and feels right, and the new thing that's really totally different. In drill 2, we're going to start to hit some balls, but just from a very easy position by the service line, and I'm having her layer some shadow swings and some hits. The shadow swings are to start to train the body in this new order of movement, having the torso, the hips, the shoulders go first. And as she hits and executes these first couple, I want you to notice how this is better, but she's still not parallel to the net. And this is what's probably going to happen to you the first time that you practice this, which is why video is so important. She has unwound further than she was on her original forehand, but check out this yellow line. Are her shoulders parallel to the service line? The answer is no. So her contact point is further in front, but it's not ultimately where we want it to be. And that's because she's made a good step in the right direction, but she hasn't made as far of a change, as big of a change as what we actually need. So I'm going to have her start to exaggerate. And on the other side of the net, I'm starting to use the word twist. You can try this for yourself when you go and practice this. When the ball bounces, I'm I'm saying out loud the word twist to her to trigger the initiation of her body going forwards. And I'm saying it way before she's actually hitting the ball. And so this is going to encourage her to start to exaggerate like she is on these shadows. Again, she's exaggerating even more now. So this is where the racket would touch the ball. Look at the angle of her shoulders. She's past parallel. Love seeing that exaggeration. And the next time that I toss a ball, if I remember correctly, there's a big breakthrough on this one. Here's where she's touching the ball. Look at the angle of her shoulders and look at the angle of her hips now. It was only through that audible trigger and only through getting her to exaggerate the movement over and over again that we finally got to what in reality is a proper contact position. Now we're working. Now like we're really making progress. Like now we're cooking with gas and we've got her actually making the breakthrough. And now it's a matter of repetition. And repetition is exactly what we did together. And this is what I recommend you do at home after you make your initial breakthrough from a very easy, very controlled environment. Now it's a matter of starting to groove this in, continuing to do some shadow swings here and there. But now also, as long as you're doing it correctly, which by the way, how do you know if you're doing it correctly? The only way is to record yourself like we talked about in the last upload. And you can see some of these are starting to look a little bit jammed. I'm giving her that feedback. And then going back to the shadow swings to exaggerate a little bit, then going back to some easy hits. And this is just a process of momentum, of getting the ball rolling in the right direction and starting to stack and layer some successful swings over and over and over again before we make it a little bit more difficult and a little bit more real life. Drill number 3 is to now start making it a little bit more challenging in real life by bumping her back to no man's land, which means the ball is going to be coming towards her a little faster. The timing's a little bit more difficult because the ball is traveling a longer distance. And so this is going to be a little bit more like real forehands back from the baseline, but not quite. We're creating these progressions so that she can confidently move in the right direction. And look at this execution is just, she mishit this a little bit, but it's so satisfying to see her in this super strong position. Look at how much space now is between her racket and her body. By the way, I'll just go ahead and play some of these for you. During all this coaching and training, I never once asked her to hit the ball further in front. In fact, I don't think we ever even talked about her contact position with her arm or her racket. This is all from focusing on the most important thing, which is her torso and the order of which her body is moving. So by focusing on the most important thing, all of these other auxiliary elements, aka symptoms, will start to fall into place. And it's so critical for you to maintain focus at home. What is the most important thing? And then keep a very narrow focus on whatever that one thing is. You're going to be really tempted to focus on all these other shiny, sexy items along the way. But unless somebody gets you to focus narrowly on the most important thing, and unless you have the discipline at home when you go practice, and unless you have the discipline to record yourself and double check and ensure that you're moving the right thing at the right time, it's all going to fall apart and you're going to go back to your old forehand and stay on that treadmill like so many countless tennis players around the world do. Now in drill 4, my student is back on the baseline. Now we're hitting real, forehands. Granted, we're still layering in some shadow swings. Notice how she's exaggerating, doing a really nice job of leading super early with her body. And then I'm just feeding her some easy balls off my racket. Look at the extension and look at the nice strong contact position on these. And again, it's all from the focus on the body going first and initiating with her torso, getting her shoulders to a parallel position, getting her hips to a parallel position. So here's my challenge to you today. Do these drills, record it, check yourself. And then I'd love to hear, how did it go for you? Tell me in the comments down below. If your forehand's been unreliable, if it's been weak, if it's felt like ineffective for years, this is probably the breakthrough that you've been missing. In my experience, this is the number one thing that holds players back. And so hopefully this motivates you and inspires you to go take action, and also to keep yourself accountable by using video and checking in and making sure you're actually doing the right things at the right time. Next up on the channel, I'm considering shifting gears and maybe focusing on the serve or maybe volleys or return of serve. I'd love to hear from you. What do you want to learn next? Tell me in the comments down below what would personally be most helpful to you in your game. Or do you want me to focus on something else forehand related, maybe like topspin or accuracy or something like that? Tell me in the comments so I can make sure to upload something that's going to be most useful, most valuable to you. Or if you'd like to continue your progress on the forehand specifically, make sure to go to forehandpower.com and pick up my free training series there that will show you how to add 15 miles per hour of power to your forehand in just 15 minutes of practice. Thanks for watching today, and I'll catch you in the next video.